Hi everyone, welcome to Product Fruits. My name is Sean, and this is a tutorial on the targeting section of the Product Fruits editor. Since this is just a tutorial on our targeting section, we're assuming that you've already made a tour, shown on our administration page here, and also that you've already opened up the extension using the puzzle piece in the top right corner of either Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome. I'm working here on a test application, and you can see I've already highlighted an element on the screen. We have 5 main tools inside the targeting section, the most important of which is change. You can see that when I click change, it allows me to retarget elements on screen and type in custom information into the associated card. Next to that is refine. Refine expands a hidden section containing the CSS selector and a settings toggle. The CSS selector is directly tied to the element that's targeted on screen. You can see that when I use the change button, the CSS selector changes accordingly. It also works in reverse by allowing you to type in a CSS selector manually. You might have noticed that when the CSS selector was blank, the element display removed the green check mark to indicate that nothing was targeted. At the same time, the target on screen changes to reflect the same message. The toggle try to reposition around the target text attempts to close the target around the text inside of an element. However, you can see that when I try to toggle this off and on with the current target, nothing happens. That's because the toggle only works if the code inside is defined as text. So when I retarget to the iframe element on the left, the toggle now closes in on the text shown inside the element. The arrow to the left of the change button selects the parent element of a target. If you're not a developer, all you need to know is that the CSS elements are typically contained inside other elements in the code, and you can see that illustrated visually as I click the button. You can also see this as the label changes over my cursor as I scroll over each element. Lastly, we have URL templates. You might have noticed that this correlates with the final path segment I have at the top of my browser. If I click transactions on the left, you'll notice that it changes the path segment at the top. Our URL template no longer matches the URL of the browser, and Product Fruits will throw a warning informing you of the mismatch. So what happens if you have a URL that changes each time someone visits? This is where you can take advantage of one of the URL template's most important tools, Dynamic. We have documentation in our knowledge base on how this works in detail, but essentially Dynamic allows Product Fruits to work on a URL that changes with each visit. A great example that showcases this is the Payment Matching tab on our example page. Take a look at what happens to the number at the end of the URL each time I navigate back to the same button. If I target the notes element on this page, I can match the path segment shown in my browser like we did before. However, you can see that this causes problems when I return to the same page later because of the mismatch between the browser URL and my URL template. Dynamics solves this issue by accepting any input where it's inserted, along with any path segments that follow. Now that I'm returning to the same page, the number is different, but the target still works because Dynamic accounts for the change. So that covers the targeting section of Product Fruits. We'll take a look at more sections in our next videos.